what can we do for our Muslim brothers and sisters globally? The first thing that you do is dua for them, yeah? But that is the easy option. That is the easiest option, but it doesn't mean that it's the least effective. The greatest thing that you can do for Muslims is to be strong here. And this is no exaggeration. Yeah, if you are fifth columners here, like we are at the moment, there's not much that you can really do affect in other places. Now, when I went to recently, I went to Gaza, and we drove through North Africa. One thing I realized that, and this is unfortunate, if the situation of the Palestinians is going to change, it's most likely going to change when Europe changes its mind. When Europe's attitude towards the Palestinian situation changes. Why? Because when you drive through these countries, you realize that they're all dictators. People, although in Morocco and Algeria have a concern for the Palestinians, but the truth is that they have their own concerns. They have a bigger tyrant than Israel on their own heads. Over their own heads. So they don't have time. You go into Egypt. People don't have time for the Palestinian situation. Why? Because they got Hosni Mubarak. So hence, the thing that we can do is be strong here. And that means firstly, be strong deen-wise. Because what we don't want Islamic activists who don't know their deen. You know, we don't want Muslim lobby groups who replicate non-Muslim lobby groups who have no Islamic standards, who slander, who backbite like other lobby groups. We don't need that. We need an Islamic ethos to what we do. You understand? So learn your deen, very important. Be steadfast. Be steadfast, because it's a test for us. You know, brother was telling me, you know, he was arrested and then he was released, yeah, without any charge. And he said, you know how many of my friends have shunned me as a consequence? He was arrested on terrorist charges and then he was released. Now, is this the state, you know, of our iman? And then we speak about people like, yeah, Bilal, how steadfast he was. Look at the Sahaba. Look at men like Salahuddin. Look at Umar ibn al-Khattab. Look at Nuruddin. Look at Umar ibn Abdul Aziz. And our state is that we're ready to sell out. We're ready to sell out. So the only thing which will protect us is that we're strong in our belief in Allah. That we believe in Allah and we learn about our deen, but that belief in Allah has to be strong. The Prophet ﷺ said, قُلْ آمَنْتُ ثُمَّ اسْتَقِيمُ. You know, and I go back to Umar ibn al-Khattab, his love for good actions, his love for steadfastness. You know, in the time of Umar ibn al-Khattab, there was a Sahabi radiallahu anhu, Abdullah ibn Huzafa radiallahu anhu, and Umar sent him on an expedition. And Umar radiallahu anhu, and he was captured by the Romans. And they told him to denounce Islam, and he refused. So what they did is they began to shoot arrows. They shot arrows in his arms and his legs. And they said, denounce your religion. And he remained steadfast. Then they bought this huge tub of boiling oil. And they bought one of his companions. And they said, denounce your religion to Abdullah ibn Huzafa, who was the leader of the expedition. Otherwise, we will throw your companion into the oil. And there's boiling oil. And Abdullah ibn Huzafa remained firm. And they threw his companion into the boiling oil. And Abdullah ibn Huzafa, this was in front of Abdullah ibn Huzafa. Then they said, now denounce, otherwise you're next. And whilst they were taking Abdullah ibn Huzafa radiallahu anhu, he began to cry. And they all got happy. They said, he's capitulated. So they called the king. And the king said, now you're ready to denounce your religion and embrace Christianity. And Abdullah ibn Huzafa said, no. He said, don't be fooled by my crying. I swear by Allah, the only reason I am crying is that I only have one life to give for the sake of Allah. I wish I had another 99 lives that I could give, each one for the sake of Allah. Now the king thought, if I kill him, he wins. That's what he wants. He wants to be killed and then be resurrected and killed again. So he said, kiss my forehead and I will release you. And Abdullah ibn Huzafa said, I will kiss your forehead on the condition that you release all my men. And he agreed, and he kissed his forehead. And then he came back to Medina and he told Umar ibn Khattab his story, and Umar stood up and he kissed Abdullah ibn Huzafa's forehead. And he made an announcement in the Muslim world. He said, whoever meets Abdullah ibn Huzafa, they kiss his forehead. They kiss his forehead. Now these were actions, men of actions. But these were people who were also steadfast. We read 3 articles. We read 3 articles in the newspaper. Oh, we better be quiet now. We're not saying anything radical. We're saying what everybody else is saying. The only difference is that they're justified to say it. If you were a left-wing hippie, you could speak about Gaza. You could speak about Afghanistan, Iraq. But if you're a Muslim, no. You can't speak because you're a conveyor belt for terrorism. You're a conveyor belt for terrorism. And so we get scared. Look, Muslims, as I said, Muslims are people who are meant to be of an upright nature. And this is why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, O you who believe, stand upright for justice. Shuhada, kum qawamin lil qist, and witnesses for Allah, even if it means that you have to bear witness against your very self. Now this is what Allah says. And then Allah says, even against your parents. Meaning you speak the truth. You speak the truth.